Managing wealth is complex, but making decisions shouldn't be. Hello everyone, welcome to the Family Office Decision Series by Transformance Forums, and I am your host Kanishka Karkera. Back with us today we have someone we've heard before, Mr. Manish Jain, co-founder and strategic alliances at MProfit. Hello Mr. Manish.
Thanks so much. It's great to be here. My name, as you mentioned, is Manish Jain. I'm one of the co-founders of MProfit. We've been at it for the last 17 years. We work with thousands of family offices across the country, and it's great to be here to chat with you.
So Mr. Manish, what's been new since the last time we spoke?
So I think what has really changed, there's been an acceleration that I see on the technology side with AI. That's something I did not expect to see with family offices and ultra H&Is. But what I'm seeing, because I think the number of releases coming from Claude, from OpenAI, from Gemini, I think more and more people are kind of interested to see how they can use AI in their family office, which I did not think was going to happen, but it's happening quite a bit.
That sets the context really well. Well, that brings me to my very first question. Since you've been working closely with many family offices and investors through MProfit, what's that one common mistake you've been seeing in how people track or think about their investments? What's your take on that?
So I think one of the biggest challenges I see, I wouldn't say mistakes, but challenges, is people are not willing to embrace new things. So whether it's technology, whether it's new asset classes, all of those things, I think people have a mindset of how things were done maybe 20, 30 years ago, and it becomes a little bit more difficult for them to kind of formalize, let's say, a family office and look at new investments, whether it's REITs, INVITs, AIFs, things like that. I think the one that people have been kind of moving towards is startup investing, but that's one of many different asset classes. And I think that's one of the challenges where, we made all of our money in X business and we should continue doing that, and looking at XYZ doesn't make sense. So I think that's the biggest hurdle, is embracing new things.
Very insightful. According to you, what's the most expensive mistake you've been seeing a family office make, and whether it's a tech failure or a human one?
So I would say technology failure, that is not embracing technology, but I think the biggest mistakes I see are with, it's more human emotion, more about, like I said, we did things in the past and we should continue doing it. And that may not be the case. One industry that was really useful or, very beneficial from, let's say, the past administration may not continue moving forward in the way it is. Maybe, let's say, whether it's IT or technology,
Fair.
Who knows? So I think that's an expensive mistake that some families kind of don't know how to circumvent. So they kind of going down that same path of investing in that same asset or that same market space, and they don't know how to embrace newer ones.
If I were to talk about myths, do you really need 500 crore or more just to justify setting up a family office, especially in India?
So I think there's a couple issues around that number, 500 crore. It really depends on, I would say, the family, how serious they are. So what ends up happening is at 500 crore, you probably can at least start the process of maybe bringing some of those functions in-house, like instead of relying on, wealth advisors, maybe you bring in the function of, bringing in some analysts, bringing in a CIO. So it really depends on not only that, but how serious the family is. What ends up happening is sometimes the second generation probably doesn't want to continue with the first generation business of the operating unit, so they want to set up, their own family office. So it's a combination of multiple factors. One of them is not, I would say the biggest myth is saying it's at 500 crore, let's do something, or at 200 crore, let's do something. It's not. It's actually a couple factors. One is, do the family members want to get into that side of the business of setting up a family office? And if so, let's really turn it into a business unit.
So Mr. Manish, my next question to you is, what role will artificial intelligence realistically play in managing large family portfolios over the next 5 years?
5 years is a very long time horizon. I'd say let's look at the next 6 months. If you look at the last 6 months, it's been a crazy acceleration. I think it's going to continue. I think there's a real fear that, oh my gosh, certain positions within a family office or an investment firm may not be there. But I think the truth is, using AI, you can actually uncover different assets you're not even looking at, different asset classes. So I think there is a real potential for it to move forward. People start using it much sooner than they thought. And I have interacted with quite a few families who I did not think would even look at AI, look at Claude, look at ChatGPT look at Gemini, but they are, because the output you get is actually stunning. So I see it's going to happen much quicker than people think. 5 years, no chance. It's going to happen much faster. I'd say you're looking at the next 6 to 18 months where a lot of it's going to happen.
True that. If I were to talk about numbers, what changes operationally when a family office grows from 100 CR to 500 CR or maybe to 2000 CR?
Yeah. I think it's very similar to a business. If you're scaling from, let's say, 100 crore in revenue to 500 to 1,000 to 5,000, you realize you need to have processes in place. You need to have people in place. You need to have what they call KRAs in place. So an example is, if we're going to, start investing, then, you bring in the right analyst. Then you say, okay, we want to beat certain benchmarks. So all of that, you make it much more formalized as opposed to just like, I think this is a good investment. Let's try going down that path. When you're at 2,000 crore, 5,000 crore, 10,000 crore, then you want to formalize all of that and bring in processes into it.
Okay, so this sums up really well. My last question to you for the day is, what would you like to tell every first-gen founder before they set up their own family office? What's your take?
That's a great question. I think I might have touched upon it in the previous question, but the first thing is look at it like a business unit. When you do that, then you take it seriously. I think a lot of people just say I'm sitting by family office because it sounds very exciting. It's very trendy right now, like probably how startup investing was for families about 6-7 years ago. I think now the term family office is the one that people want to say they're attached to, but I would say really take a hard look at it, set it up like a business unit, fund it correctly, make sure you have the right metrics in place, the right KRAs in place, and then take it from there.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing this wonderful and fantastic piece of advice with all our viewers. It was truly a pleasure having you with all of us today.
Thanks so much, and I look forward to interacting with the team at the Family Office Conference in Hyderabad in the coming week.
Thank you so much. To know more what's brewing in the family office space, don't forget to join us at the 8th edition Great Indian Family Office Promoters Capital Investment Summit in Hyderabad, where we discuss these trends live. Thank you so much. To know more, stay tuned.